Hello families, hola familias. Voy a explicar la rutina de tareas que vamos a usar este año en kinder. I'm going to explain our homework routine in kinder for this year. Now, as you can see, we have a folder with the student name, homework, and the classroom number labeled. Tenemos el sobre que tiene toda la información de los niños. Each student will bring their homework home on Mondays, or the first day of the week. If Monday's off, it'll be Tuesday. And it will come back to school on Fridays, or the last day of the school week, Fridays. Van a traer los paquetes a la casa los lunes o primer día de la semana y van a traer el paquete o el sobre ese a la escuela los viernes. There are two main things that you'll find in your child's homework packet. Now, why do we use a big envelope? Because many important things that go home, I will place in here, especially if it's something that has some money value or something that is private or distracting. It will go home on the next Monday often if it's something that I worry about students getting reliably back to you. So it could be paperwork, could be school photos. We will see those things in there. A veces yo mando la tarea y también unas fotos escolares, otras cosas que tienen un precio más alto digo. Here is the packet. Aquí está el paquete. Está engrapado. It's stapled up. And on the front we have our menu of what homework tasks we're asking the students to do. So as you can see, for clear communication with parents, we have our palabras de uso frecuente, what words, high frequency words we have taught in Spanish and in English. These are the ones that have been introduced. They will be in books that we are reading, and it is a very, very good idea to practice these with your child. Sometimes writing them rainbow writing, sometimes with cards, sometimes writing sentences while these words are posted on maybe a poster on the wall or a piece of construction paper. We find that each family tends to find their own way to study those high frequency words and to internalize them. It will be easier in your child's first language, and it's very necessary to read in English. Aquí tenemos las palabras de uso frecuente y se va a cambiar cada vez que enseñemos más palabras de uso frecuente. Se van a actualizar aquí en la hoja, o sea, en el paquete que sigue vamos a tener una lista un poquito más larga. Y pues para estudiar las palabras de uso frecuente en inglés es muy clave para poder leer un libro cualquier libro. Y en español es importante, especialmente para los niños que están aprendiendo el español aquí en la escuela, para llegar a conocer el significado, porque van a aparecer muchas veces. En español se pueden leer cada palabra, o sea, es más transparente el sistema de escritura de español, pero en inglés no es tan transparente, así que, por ejemplo, la palabra aquí, the, no se puede predecir de las 3 letras a un niño de kinder, así que se tiene que memorizarse como una cámara fotográfica. Then next, the sight words also in English, often they're unpredictable in how to pronounce and how to spell, so that's why we explicitly focus on memorizing them. We used to call them sight words, a lot of these words, because you need to know them by sight. In Spanish, there's no such thing as sight words, but there are highly used words, like if you, I, yo, soy, I'm, or I am, right? If you're not having access to those words, most texts will not be accessible to you. Most spoken sentences will not be accessible. So that's why we study the high frequency words in Spanish with a focus on the meaning and a focus on practicing them. Even if we haven't taught each sound that's in the word yet, getting used to those words is very helpful for early reading. Then next, right here, we have the day of the week, and then different parts of our packet. Aquí tenemos los días de la semana, lunes hasta jueves. Y bueno, ahí no va a aparecer viernes porque ya se habrá entregado el paquete. Así que aquí tenemos las tareas de cada día. Adentro del paquete, so here we have each day's homework assignment. At the beginning of the year, we do some more simple letter recognition, like can you find the letter M, can you color the letter M, working on tracing, and then writing within a box. We have some simple mathematics. None of this is independent. This is to be done with a trusted adult, a responsible older sibling, someone who can guide the child. I remember I spoke at curriculum night about that gradual release of responsibility. At this point in the school year, there's still a lot of adult guidance, and the student is doing a little bit less. As we progress, that load will get more to the student and less for the adult. So when it's time to do math in kindergarten, and I believe all the way up to second grade, math questions are not reading questions. The student is not meant to read them. The directions down here are for you to read to your child. Los adultos todavía en esa etapa, para empezar el año, tienen más cargo para hacer. O sea, es un proceso que se hace junto con el niño o con la niña. Así que hay una mayor parte para empezar el año que hace el adulto y pues el alumno o la niña, el niño, está haciendo menos ahorita y se va a aumentar a lo largo de ese año y de hecho a lo largo de su vida, ¿no? Así que aquí pues se tendrá que recordar a los niños que coloreen, aquí muy elegante, que trazan, o sea, no habrán hecho, o sea, si damos solitos a los niños esta hoja, es posible que no lo logren súper bien para empezar. Van a necesitar a un adulto, a un hermano grande que le guíe un poco. Aquí en la matemática, siempre las instrucciones aquí están para abajo. Así que el propósito de toda matemática en kinder es que los niños estén escuchando las instrucciones y a veces se necesita un modelo, un adulto que le ayuda. Cuando yo escribo el número 1, así le hago y así agarro el lápiz. You may need to model even how do you write, where do you write your name at the top, all of those things. There's Spanish letter formation practice and coloring as well. All of this is review from previous weeks. So la O de oso we taught a while ago. So the idea is that we're still refreshing and mastering skills at home that have been covered in class already. Aquí tenemos la vocal O de oso. Aquí tenemos para practicar escribir las letras. Se va a cambiar, se va a crecer, especialmente cuando los niños están haciendo más responsabilidad de que le toque. One thing that is really helpful at this part of the year is with all the 5 vocales, if I send ojo, oveja, oruga, we have a little song we like to sing. It goes, ojo, ojo is con o, and then, so you would name a name Olivia, dice o. So singing these together, practicing them, anyway, that can be very helpful for getting that sound into the head. A veces nosotros cantamos, como acabamos de hacer, para poder escuchar cómo va el sonido. O sea, se puede trazar, you can just trace, pero va a ser más eficaz. It's going to be more effective si vayan coloreando esos objetos y hablando de cómo se llaman. Then it's sort of math, letters. A lot of the beginning of our year is focusing on those. Then when we get to Thursday, we have our weekly skill check. Para el jueves, y eso voy a anotar. Bueno. Los jueves se hace la pruebita. On Thursdays is our weekly skill check. This orange page is meant for transparency, so that parents, transparency and for communication. Esa es una hoja que nosotros usamos para comunicarnos con los papás. O sea, ya nosotros enseñamos ciertas letras, pero se sabe que entre los dos salones tenemos un tiempo limitado y a veces los niños necesitan más tiempo y más repaso de ciertas letras. O sea, nosotros los papás y también los maestros se encargan de darle la práctica y la motivación adecuada a los niños. We send this as a communication tool so that you can know which letters we have taught, and so that then you can check off. Like if you show your kid this word, do they say I? Great, then it gets a check mark. Are they not there yet? Then it doesn't get a check mark yet. And that's more information that maybe we need to practice farther on. Similarly, we have the letters. So they would say M, We have the sight words or the high frequency words in Spanish. Yo, soy, so if they can read those words, great. That's going to give them access to what we're reading. If they can't, it's probably time for some more support at home. And in school naturally, but it really, this process of kindergarten of memorizing your letters and sounds and memorizing your sight words, it takes a lot of regular practice. This homework packet is meant to be done daily, and there are some soft skills on it as well. So in any event, this is going to be every Thursday what we ask you to fill out. When the packet comes in and we turn it into my bin on Friday, that's when I'm checking for completion and checking for if there's maybe a parent note, or you can always reach out to us on Remind. I want to remind us that the time should go about 10 to 15 minutes and 10 minutes reading. If you are spending an hour and a half on just one day of this homework, we need to talk about what is a reasonable challenge for your kid, or what supports maybe you are not having. For example, when I ask families to do the estrellitas sounds, sometimes that in the past has been tough. They're saying, oh, it's also, and they're guiding their kid. It can be easier to just put on a video and do it with the child until they're more comfortable. Now we still will need that adult help, especially for our non-readers. But if you're battling every night and you're having a hard time, please talk to us. El tiempo que nosotros sugeremos para eso, el tiempo sería unos 10 a 15 minutos al diario y también 10 minutos de leer. Un día en inglés, un día en español. For the 10 minutes of reading, we would do it in English and in Spanish. Tiempo 10 a 15 minutos. 10 minutos más que eso en leer. I believe that explains the packet. You will see some other materials that the teachers found important. Just for this week, for example, this will change, but just for this week, we have a hundreds chart. So for counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 100. We also have el abecedario in Spanish. Abeja, abeja, you can sing the ABC song. This is for the letter names in Spanish. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, all that, which also can be supported with a video if you're less confident with that content. We will find a way to support your kids. Please send us a remind if you need that support, or an email. We are always ready to help make your routines easier at home, because the more comfortable with these routines the kids are, the faster they pick up their sounds, faster they pick up their letters, and the more comfortable they are when we're doing these same routines in class. For the estrellitas, it goes from top to bottom. O is the most common sound in Spanish, going all the way down to some letters, K y W, that we practically never use in Spanish. So really studying all of these can be very, very helpful. I'll attach in the description of this video the link to my estrellitas video, and I would recommend for the hundreds chart looking up Jack Hartman counting to 100. It's a very fun video, Jack Hartman. There are some other pieces of information. Here is a letter about what math unit we are working on. This is for your records. You can keep it. You can leave it in the folder. Many times for families, and we have sometimes some parent communications. If it looks like something that's for a grown-up to fill out, that's because it is. There might be paperwork that goes home. There might be school photos. Like I mentioned, this is kind of a vehicle of extra responsible about keeping it, because I know for sometimes our kinders, they walk out with great intentions and a paper in the hand, and it does not make it home. Bueno, creo que ya eso es todo. I believe that is all. Espero que les vaya súper bien con sus hijos. Nos hace un favor escribir el nombre del niño aquí, y pues que el niño escribe su nombre en cada página que esté trabajando con lápiz. It really helps if we write the child's name on the front, and then also have the child, whenever it has a name line, they start writing their name. Writing your name is a very big skill in kinder, and if it's very difficult right now, it's a good time to keep practicing before we get to heavier academics. I am so glad that we're starting off this homework this year, and I really am hopeful that this clear communication, especially with the weekly skill check, will make it easier for us when we have our conversations at conference time, or if we need to have a conversation about student data. I find that when I use this routine, parents are very rarely surprised and have an easier time being engaged with what is grade level expectation, and with knowing when to ask for support for their student. Con la hoja, con la pruebita semanal, yo suelo encontrar que los niños y los papás están conscientes de que es la expectativa del nivel de grado y no tenemos sorpresas cuando se empieza el año, y pues tenemos mayor comunicación entre nosotros por no tener sorpresas. O sea, se saben que esas palabras se enseñaron, estos sonidos todavía no. Así que yo tengo muchas ganas de apoyar a ustedes para que pasen bien el tempito de tareas al diario, el tempito de leer al diario y en unos casos vamos a tener unas destrezas más para practicar para los niños. Si ocupan ayuda o no conozcan cómo va una rutina, algo así, aquí estoy para ayudarles. Ok, muchas gracias y chao.